The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. Jesus instructed the 12 as follows: "Do not be afraid, for everything that is now covered will be uncovered, and everything now hidden will be made clear. What I say to you in the dark, tell in the daylight, while you hear the whispers proclaim from the housetops. Do not be afraid of those who kill anybody, but cannot kill the soul. Fear him rather who can destroy both body and soul in hell. Can you not buy 2 sparrows for a penny, and yet not one falls to the ground without your Father knowing? Why, every hair on your head has been counted, so there is no need to be afraid. You're worth more than hundreds of sparrows. So if anyone declares himself for me in the presence of men, I will declare myself for him in the presence of my Father in heaven. But the one who disowns me in the presence of men, I will disown in the presence of my Father in heaven." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
When Archbishop Oscar Romero was made Archbishop in El Salvador in 1977, he was seen to be a safe pair of hands. He was considered a conservative who wouldn't rock the boat, who would be supportive of authority and the government. And yet, only a short time into his term of office, he was seen to be a radical. He was deeply motivated by the needs of the people, especially the care of the poor and support of the poor and of human rights. And so he was threatened by the government, threatened by right-wing groups that wanted to put him to death unless he changed his approach. And so he said that he did not fear death. The only thing that he would fear was his soul being destroyed. Death of his soul, echoing today's gospel, echoing the message of Christ to his disciples. Christ says to us 3 times today, "Do not be afraid." And yet the only thing we really are afraid of is the truth. Sometimes we avoid the truth about ourselves. Sometimes we grow anxious that we might not like the truth about ourselves. And yet it is the truth that is important. And I suppose one of the key things we need to be truthful about is how we live as people who believe in the gospel, people who believe in Christ. Do we really be committed to living the gospel, the values of the gospel, or do we take the easy routes out? One of the great elements of the AA program, the 13 steps for the recovering alcoholic, is they must be honest with themselves about themselves. It's a good message for all of us to consider, to be honest with ourselves about ourselves in how we follow Christ and how we live the gospel. Take 2 examples that are relevant in today's world. The first is today's Father's Day. If you are a father and you are a follower of Christ, do you live your fatherhood as a vocation, praying for your children, being influenced by the values you give to your children that come from the gospel? Or do you accept totally the ways of the world? Are you a father who lives in accordance with the gospel, with the teaching of Christ? And the second example I give today is the recent racial uprising there has been, when it has been seen that the black community in America were treated unjustly and unfairly, and indeed throughout the world. It is something that we must all look towards our own lives. Can we be racist in our thoughts, in the way we think about people, in the way we treat people, in the way we respond to those who challenge us about the treatment of the black and different races in our world? For all of us, it is a matter of being truthful. To be truthful about how we live as followers of Christ. Are we afraid to be committed followers of Christ? Or are we honest about ourselves?